serta teman-teman mahasiswa yang berbahagia. Puji syukur kita panjatkan kehadirat Tuhan Yang Maha Esa karena pada pagi hari ini kita dapat berkumpul dalam kegiatan Undip Global Classroom dalam keadaan sehat dan penuh semangat. Perkenalkan, saya Zora Zarina yang pada kesempatan ini akan bertugas sebagai moderator. Sebelumnya, kami mengucapkan selamat datang dan terima kasih kepada seluruh peserta yang hadir pada kegiatan hari ini. Semoga kegiatan hari ini memberikan wawasan baru, pengalaman akademik internasional, dan juga inspirasi dalam perjalanan penelitian kita semua. Baik, sebelum memasuki sesi utama, izinkan saya menyampaikan susunan acara pada hari ini. Yang pertama yaitu pembukaan dan sesi foto bersama. Yang kedua, penyampaian materi oleh moderator, oleh narasumber. Yang ketiga, sesi tanya jawab dan diskusi. Dan yang keempat, penutup. Baik, tanpa mengurangi rasa hormat, marilah kita sama-sama memulai kegiatan Undip Global Classroom dengan tema Research Method pada pagi hari ini. Semoga seluruh kegiatan kita berjalan dengan baik dan memberikan pengalaman akademik yang bermanfaat bagi kita semua. Sebelum beralih ke sesi foto bersama, izinkan saya menyampaikan beberapa informasi dan ketentuan selama kegiatan berlangsung. Yang pertama, mohon seluruh peserta menonaktifkan mikrofon atau berada dalam mode mute selama pemaparan materi berlangsung. Kedua, peserta dipersilakan menyalakan kamera dan menggunakan virtual background yang sudah disiapkan. Yang ketiga, ketika sesi tanya jawab, pertanyaan akan disampaikan melalui fitur raise hand atau chat di kolom Zoom. Terima kasih atas kerjasama dan perhatiannya. Selanjutnya, kita akan memasuki ke sesi foto dokumentasi. Kepada seluruh peserta, kami persilakan untuk menyalakan kamera terlebih dahulu. Kepada sembari bersiap-siap, kepada operator kami persilakan untuk membantu proses dokumentasinya. Semua senyum mulai dari slide 1, 2, 3. Langsung ke slide 2, 1, 2, 3. Baik, terima kasih atas perhatiannya semuanya. Langsung saja kita beralih ke sesi selanjutnya, yaitu pemaparan materi. Bapak dan Ibu mahasiswa semuanya, dalam dunia akademik dan penelitian, metodologi penelitian atau research method merupakan salah satu fondasi penting dalam menghasilkan penelitian yang sistematis, valid, dan berkualitas. Bagi kita sebagai mahasiswa magister, pemahaman mengenai metodologi penelitian ini tentunya menjadi hal yang sangat penting. Tidak hanya dalam proses penyusunan tesis saja, tapi juga dalam pengembangan kemampuan berpikir kritis dan ilmiah dalam melakukan penelitian. Oleh karena itu, tema yang diangkat dalam Undip Global Classroom hari ini sangat relevan dan sangat menarik untuk kita bahas bersama. Dan untuk narasumber kita pada pagi hari ini juga tidak kalah luar biasanya. Mungkin bisa kita sapa. Selamat pagi Ibu, Assalamualaikum.
Oke, waalaikumsalam Miss Jura.
Gimana Bu kabarnya?
Oke, sehat-sehat saja. Hmm,
Alhamdulillah. Mungkin biar kita lebih dekat dengan narasumber kita pada pagi hari ini, saya ingin izin memperkenalkan narasumber kita pada pagi hari ini, yaitu Ibu Dr. Su'aini binti Sura. Beliau merupakan senior lecturer dari Faculty of Computing and Informatics Universitas Malaysia Sabah. Beliau menyelesaikan pendidikan doktoral dalam bidang Information System di Hanyang University, South Korea pada tahun 2017. Bidang kepakaran beliau meliputi Electronic or Social Commerce, Social Computing, Teknologi Adoption, dan Data Mining. Selain aktif dalam pengajaran, beliau juga mengampu mata kuliah dari research metodologi ini, serta aktif dalam membimbing mahasiswa jenjang magister dan doktoral. Dalam penelitiannya, beliau juga terlibat dari berbagai riset terkait teknologi informasi seperti social media analytics, artificial intelligence, data mining, hingga user behavior analysis. Dengan berbagai publikasi dan conference dari jurnal internasional seperti IEEE dan ACM. Selain itu, beliau juga berpengalaman dalam penelitian supervisi akademik serta publikasi ilmiah internasional sehingga dapat membagikan wawasannya mengenai research method pada kegiatan hari ini. Beliau juga aktif dalam pengembangan kolaborasi akademik internasional, termasuk kerjasama dengan dari University Malaysia Sabah dan Universitas Diponegoro. Suatu kehormatan bagi kami semua dapat belajar langsung dari Ibu pada forum Undip Global Classroom ini. Tanpa mengurangi rasa hormat, kita langsung saja mulai pemaparan materinya kepada Ibu Dr. Suaini binti Surah. Waktu dan tempat kami persilakan.
Oke, terima kasih Miss Zura. Oke, let me share the material ya. I think it's okay if I give my, deliver my, I don't think this is lecture, deliver my idea, deliver my point of view about research method, talk in English, campur dengan bahasa Melayu. Should be okay, right? Uh, okay, can we start? Okay. Assalamualaikum and salam sejahtera. Thank you from Undip because inviting me to share some of my knowledge, some more experience in research methodology. Okay. So I think that we start. I just agree, make it maybe semi-formal or informal, so we can share all what I know and what you know. I take this opportunity for sharing rather than I'm delivering. Okay, now we go to the first page here, slide. Where are you now? Okay, so if you look this picture, kalau itu katanya, if you look at the predictive work itu katanya tengok masanya sedikit saja. But this is happened to me during I'm doing my PhD and my master. Oke, masa produktif saya waktunya buat PhD dengan master itu bukan di sini ya, ada di sini. Masanya produktif saya itu selalunya pukul 8 malam hingga pukul 12 malam. Itu masa produktif saya. So, every week this will be different. Dalam buat research itu will be different. Okay, different. And it's up to us how we organize our plan. But most probably kita itu kebanyakannya adalah on thinking. Okay, now.
Permisi Bu, mohon maaf Ibu.
Nggak dengar ya?
Suaranya masih kecil.
Suaranya masih kecil. Oke, ini oke. So now, sekarang kita pergi masih kecil ya?
Masih kecil tapi sudah
Jelas.
lebih dari yang tadi.
Oke, oke. Now we go to the first slide. Here is that what is methodology, the research methodology. We try to the best terminology. Just ignore the chat in primary, the PhD commit. This is just like give some of what we call it a thought of you. Most what I did actually thinking about writing. That is about PhD. So we start with research dulu. Apa itu research? If you look in front of you, it can be defined as our search for the knowledge, new knowledge, with any using systematic way. Okay, systematic way. So then that knowledge nanti kita boleh establish a new knowledge, we call it establish topics. So the criteria of the research tadi, first systematic. Systematic mean here is that your organizing. Organize step by step. You have the step, you have procedure, or the process, something like that. Second, objective. Research must be objective. Objectiveness must be based on fact. That means here you can measure it. Measure. The third one, logical. Logical means you have analytic reasoning. Yeah, you have what we call reasoning, analytic reasoning. You analyze reasoning. You just come up with not assumption, but other reason, and then the reason you analyze the reason, not assumption, and must be replicable. Replicable means that when you have research, this research method, must be can be applied for the one time, but they can be applied for several times. That is research. Then we move to type of research. This is several type of research. Actually, there's so, if you look in the internet, you ask ChatGPT, you chat Gemini, everything. It's not just 12 actually. There's so many of research, but this is some of type of research I introduced to you. The one is pure research and second applied research. You look at here. I just go through this one. I think this one you can read it. You heard it one. Pure research mean is something a basic research which is fundamental one. But in apply mean that you there's something you solving a word problem with something, you apply something technique, some apply, you produce something application, you apply to solve problem. And then you exploratory, that means exploring new things. You have descriptive mean that this is meant to describe something. And you have diagnostic study, may identify cause of problem. You have the problem, you want to identify why like that, why like what the cause of this is and something happen. Then you have evaluation of study, you evaluate something. Okay, and action research. Action research means here focus solving immediate practical problem. This is your you on that, you're doing on that. You have experimental lab, is experimental research, you always do it maybe in the lab, experimental setting. You have analytical study, historical studies, survey. Survey is the one you collecting data. You also have the case study. Some maybe more than that. You have also observation research, whatever is that. But if my point of view, in my experience, if you talk about my research for master and PhD, I have on that nombor 11 itu survey research. Okay, the survey. I use the survey research. I collecting all the data through the survey. Okay, so but if you talk about my experience as a lecturer with my research group, actually, by the way, I had research group. The name of research group is CCRC Creative Computing Research Group. So we do also some of what clinical study. We already also have done something like interview exploring, something like in we me also with my student, we do the experimental kind of research. Even me, when I first after my PhD, go back to my university teaching whatever, I did my research on the experimental research, which is ice tracking system, whereby I put all my participant, my respondent in one room, use that tracking device, and then track the what we call it, the eyes movement, something like that. Yeah, I have experience on that. That is some type of research. So now you already know what type of research. You must know also the most important. You must know the research paradigm. Mean here that what philosophy of research are you doing? You have to determine whether it's positivism, whether interpretivism, or parametrism. So you look at here in front of you, I give it a positivism is always related with quantitative. You believe you have the objective, and then it's more that you have hypothesis, and you try to put the objective, something like that. There's some method you have experiments about. I think most of us are doing on positivism. Okay. The other one is interpretivism. This is you want to interpret. It's more very subjective. You want to know what is that. You don't put anything, but you want to know what the pattern, something like that. And usually it's related to the qualitativism. And then you read pragmatism, whereby you use mixed method. Usually pragmatism will use based on the action research. You use bold. You want to know more detail about the one. Yeah. So when you already know what is your paradigm, what is your philosophy, then you go what we call it here is something like type of research. You have to know whether you're doing qualitative research, you're doing the quantitative research, you're doing mixed method. If you talk about the qualitative research, usually you look at the focus of underlying phenomenon for the perspective of participant. Okay, read this one. Usually the method you use usually like case study, interview. You don't have predetermined predetermined analysis. You just want to exploring, asking. You asking, for example, you want to know the factors. Okay, example I give you exploring student experience and challenge online during the COVID-19. In qualitative mean here, you want to know, explore what could be the experience. You want to look at the factor of the factor of the experience. You want to know that one. So you turn to interview and you analyze. Oh, then this is the factor. This is the factor. But in quantitative research, usually you play with numbers. More measuring variable testing relationship. You have that one, then you want to measure the one. So you play with data, you play with statistics to know how could be. Is it, for example, here, if you're investigating the relationship between study hours, academic performance among university students. So you set here the performance is your dependent variable. Maybe some of study hours, maybe could be your independent. So what could be the relationship? To test the relationship, you use statistic to know that one. You have data in the number, you test that one, and then you know what could be the relationship. Okay? Yeah, okay. That is some example of research there. And then mixed method. If you said mixed method, you use both qualitative and quantitative. Okay. Some of the example, I counter some example of the student when because sometimes I become the reviewer or I the what examiner for the for the master or PhD. Is that this one mixed method? First one, what he did is that they just want to know the factor, want to know what could the factor, what could be the factor. So once you go to the interview and then already give the factors, like that, it give a 5 factors. From these 5 factors, it do another one is quantitative. We want to know the relationship about these factors. So we do conduct something like what we call it survey. So to know the relationship of this factor. And then it set of other factors, something like based on their punya hypothesis. That one, yeah. So now, then we know the one. So then we go to what we call it methodology. Methodology and method. What is methodology and what is method? Okay, look in front of you here. Methodology, the study of method involved in some field. And then we'll talk about, when you talk about a method is with a quantified series of steps taken by the complete task, certain research or certain objective. So first, you have method. You have method. Method with step. Okay, step. How you organize step by step the procedure, whatever. That we call it systematic because we have step by step in doing our research. So when this step by step you combine it together, you study, combine this together, it's become what we call it methodology. Okay. Okay, step 1, step 2, step 3 is become method, and you study the method is become methodology. Okay, now, look in nature of scientific method. What is called scientific method? Okay, this is the scientific method. Okay. Why we need this scientific method? We look here, look the first point. Scientific method attempt to minimize the influence of research bias in outcome of the experiment. Listen. That means when we have step, one thing we have we already eliminate what we call it bias. Okay, when you say bias is something like your punya preference, your punya common sense, whatever is that. And the hypothesis. This has happened to us actually as a researcher. When we read, we already assume something. You bias. Oh, ini tak payah tes lah ini, tak payah. Ini memang kalau kita tes hipotesis dia memang accepted saja nih. We already mindset that one because when we read it, kebanyakannya when we read. Oh, accept. Oh, we already said, this one accept, is this one accept, me accept. Without test, we said it accept. But surprisingly, when you test, it's become rejected. So that's why we have to that one. Because of this happened. Because when you assume, we already preparing, our preference is that we are biased on that one, then we can ignore one of the step in methodology, which is how testing. Oh, we already said that baru testing lah ini sudah accepted ini. No. Even if it's accepted, you have to test it to know whether it's accepted or not with the data. So that is actually one of why scientific method is very important. Okay. Now, I forget about the one. This is just to share it to you. So you have a picture where are you now? Then we go to the overview of the research method. Okay. In front of you here, this is a classical method. Okay, this is classical method. From, I think, dari dulu sampai sekarang juga kita masih menggunakan this classical method. Okay, you start with your research question. You have to identify the problem. How you identify problem? You study the background, look at the observation. You study lagi. So how you study that one? Observation, this one. You know the problem, observation just now. Then that is we go to what we call it literature review. You look at the literature review. If you talk literature review, it's not just the not just the proceeding. No, more than that. You look at the book, you look at the news, you look at the internet, whatever is that. It's helping you. So to understand that one, to understand what is being done related to your problem, what the method related to your problem, what is not covered yet to your problem. So what the step you have to do for the problem, this way. So now you already did this one. If you already know this one, you already clear about this one, then you start formulating your punya hypothesis. Okay? You formulated your hypothesis. Usually nanti hypothesis nanti kita ada lagi slide-nya. Okay, when you formulate your hypothesis, okay, then you start design your punya experiment. You design your experiment, design your research actually. This is you can design your research. How do you look like experiment? It's not actually experiment here, design experiment. This is number 4 is based on what research are you doing. If you experiment, how you design experiment. If you start study, how you design your if you start survey, right? Survey, how you design your survey. If you start observation, how you design your observation. That's it. Number 4 itu based on what research, what type of research are you doing. That one. Then after that, then you test your hypothesis, collect your data. You collect your data. When you collect data, you assume, and then you interpret lastly, and then you publish the finding. Okay, that is traditional method, classical method. But this classical method, sometimes you have so many methods. These are the other variant method. But when you look, I share here. When you look this variant method, 1, 2, 3, and then the other di sini lagi now. These 4 variant method are the method other than classical method. If you look at sekali imbas, actually it is similar with the classical method. Okay, is that there may be some what we call it expansion, something like that. They combine that one, but when you look sekali imbas, one you go through is similar, whatever is that masih ada in the classical method. For this one, kita tengok as example here is ask question, do background, the similar with this classical method. Kita tengok in the first and then it's lagi. Okay, and then you construct hypothesis. It's quite similar. It's different only make the floor, the chart, the floor, they could be different. Look at the second, the similar thing. Similar. So because our everything is always similar. So we conclude that in doing research, the method is mesti ada kena ada problem background. You do the study background, yes, and then you design whatever is then. You must have it one. Maybe the problem is here, your what we call it, the anak panah itu, the flow maybe could be different. Okay, now this is satu lagi. This is scientific method, you put it like this, but actual method, you put it different. Selalu jadi kan? But I hopefully all of you, whatever is that, don't do the actual method. Back to the scientific method. The actual method just now, as I said to you, this is when you put your assumption, you put your preference or favoritism just now, then jadi actual method here. Okay. Sometimes you return to the actual method because why? Oh, nak publish cepat. Publish mean, artikel jurnalnya mau dipublish. Oke, kita tengok je guna apa yang ada, yang kita punya. Oke, ini no. No. Whatever you do, even your small research for sake of the publication, use the scientific method. Use the scientific method. Okay, that's the one most important. And then now we go to the step in scientific method. Okay, the first one just now, formulate a research question. This is the most important step. There is no research if you don't have the problem. Question means problem. Sometimes we don't need a research question. You use it problem statement. Tahu kan? Soalnya kita gunakan problem statement. Okay. In UMS punya practice, in our practice, it's different of the university practice. We start with problem statement. When we have problem statement, then we create what could be the research question from that particular problem. Okay. So that is we call it problem statement. What actually you turn to solve that one, yeah? Look here, the most important is that the study must be feasible. Feasible means here is that when you have this kind of problem, make sure you have ability to solve the problem. When you talk to the ability to solve the problem, it's not just your skill, but look your equipment semua. Boleh dapat ke nggak dapat? Datanya boleh ada data atau tak boleh data. That's why if I'm the supervisor or if I am supervise my student, the first thing I ask to them is it you capable to do this one. Okay, mula-mula soalnya skillnya. Skillnya okay. Oh, okay, miss, skillnya okay. I said, this you research, you research when I look at the problem segment, what you will be need the programming. I said to that one. You have the capability of the programming. Boleh miss, saya boleh. Okay. Next step I ask. Ini perlunya tool ini. Saya itu nggak ada duit untuk beli tool ini. Karena grant pun kita tak ada tool ini. Are you sure we can use this tool, the machine something like this one? And then he said, boleh miss, I research ada this one. Ini ada di lab sana, kita boleh pinjam this one. Okay, yes sir. And the last one I ask them, how about data? Selalunya banyak di sini. Data, terus stuck. Data, bukan kita collect data kah? And I said, are you sure you're going to collect this data? Okay. Tanya dulu. And then tanya, iya juga, ini susah mau collect datanya. Then I said, forget it, change the topic. Kalau katanya data, yes miss, I am collect the data. One thing I already asked this, I asked this permission with this one. They said yes, and then the other thing is that I said, can I scrap data from their website, scraping the data from their website? They said what? Okay, I said yes, you can proceed. This the thing is okay. That means to make sure that it's feasible of the research. Okay, all the problems settled. Your research question is already cantik, and then next to the okay, this is you have the what we call it. This is the what is the problem. This is just example, yeah. This is just an example. Okay. Oh, by the way, I don't know this is actually based on the university how they practice, but in UMS our practice we set the objective first. From the objective, then we set the research question. For example, my first objective is to identify the appropriate factor for this kind of problem. So then my research question could be what could be the factor in this solving the problem, something like that. Yeah, you look here. This is an example of the example. Yeah. Okay, now then you start the background. Okay, now you have the problem. So what next? Next, that is we call it literature review. Literature review. You observe, do research. We start with literature review. Okay, you have to this one. You look at then whether what you did is similar with the previous research. If the similar, what could be the gap? What could be the problem? Something. What could be the problem? Whatever is there. You have to know also, is it possible for the next something that you want to do? Is it what could be the limitation? You want to solve that limitation. But as I said to you, observation is not just literature review. Okay. Some is that maybe you do the observation, particularly let's say your environmental problem. Right, you want to solve the environmental. You will look at the environment sometimes. Do observation about environmental. I have one of the student. What he did is not just that one. He do the something like a preliminary study. Okay, to get the observation whether it's preliminary study whether this really problem in that kind from if you look at case study, right, for the society, something like that, do the preliminary study. So now you have that one, and then my suggestion, usually when you already do this research, right, and then you come up, then that one you identify the factor. At that time, maybe you already have hypothesis, you know what you need to do. So what I suggest usually to my student is that you, from that, then you draw you punya whether research framework, whether one thing is this one, whether research framework or research model. Okay, usually in IT or IS or IT, we do what is we call it research framework, because why? Sometimes you have your own ID. You already probably decision just now, background study just now. You already what we call it set what your uh, independent variable. You have your variable the one. This is we call it research framework. So then you start drawing what could be your research framework. What the variable, the relationship, the independent variable, whether you have the moderator, you have mediator, something like that. You set that one. I think all of you familiar with this one, right? Nah, ini yang saya guna ini, saya sebagai contoh aja, yang saya guna itu untuk lukis ini, gunanya AI. Nanti ya, jangan diguna AI untuk draw this one, you draw your own ya. Ini cantik sih, kayak sebenarnya guna AI. Jangan guna ini. Draw your own. Ya. Okay. But for some research, especially in machine learning punya research, data mining. Okay. Machine learning data mining. Rather than we use what we call it just now research framework, we use research model. Okay, research model. Okay, what could be input, what could the data collection, the process, and then what next, something like that. Some of you maybe you don't you describe in research model, but you describe it in terms of your alur penelitian, right? Alur penelitian is a research framework. Research flowchart, something like that. Yeah, you must have this one. So when you have this thing, you have all the, you start with this all diagram, model, research model, or research plan model just now, then you start to expand your about your diagram just now, then you start to explain about your hypothesis. Okay. What is hypothesis? Okay. What hypothesis mean is that educational assumption, educational guess. Because why we call it educational guess, educational assumption? Because we do that assumption based on fact. There's some fact, there's some reference or support our assumption. That we call it educational guess or educational assumption. Okay. So whether you write it, this is simple one. Simple one is simple format, if and then. For example, in machine learning, I said, this could be solved by machine learning. Contoh, that is my hypothesis. And I do the machine learning. Oh yeah, yes, it's solved. Kadang-kadang we said, you want to know that the performance. When we use the reliability, what is the high reliability or what performance reliability, accuracy is more than 90%. That is your assumption, something like that. Okay, that's it. But sometimes you write the hypothesis is like this. This is usually when you write hypothesis, you in terms of field IT or IS. Okay, in my master, in my PhD, this is kind of hypothesis that I use. Okay, you have independent and then you variable, you have dependent variable. Okay, for example, okay, example, ini example-nya susah sikit. Yang paling simpelnya, simple example, a dependent, like I said, system quality had positive impact to the ease of use. Simple like that. You write that hypothesis, yeah? So, what could be a good characteristic of the hypothesis? Satu, should be simple and clear. Only use one sentence, dot. Cukup. Don't put so many measurement in one sentence. Just 1 to 1. Okay, 1 to 1. Contohnya, SQ will have positive impact to the ease of use. Simple, like one, like that. Okay, so you should be able verification. That means your technique, whatever you use method, you can use that to evaluate your hypothesis, to test your hypothesis. And then remember, should be related to existing body of knowledge. I mean that when you that is when it's an existing body of knowledge, that we call it just now academic guess, adequate guess, academic guess, adequate assumption, academic assumption, because we be existing body of knowledge and should be operational, expressed in terms can be measured. Remember, can be measured. Okay. Now, nombor 2 tadi, there's a tool to measure, and nombor 4 tadi, boleh di measure, can you? Now, this is some of the example. Just forget the example, and then we call the what I said, design experiment. As I said to you, for the design experiment just now, design experiment just now is up to what kind of research. If you do experiment, you do design experiment. If you use survey, how you design your survey. Okay, that is my important. In design experiment, what most important is that you should explain in detail one by one. You have the procedure. What put your material? Who is your participant? How your system? How your setting? You have to in detail one by one. Okay, one by one. If you design experiment, usually, if I'm the examiner, if I'm the reviewer for the people, I will look that will design. So if I said there's something wrong with design, it's not feel logically, and then that will be the question. It turn to maybe a paper is tend to be rejected. Okay. If in your Bible, you will be grilled by examiner asking you this one, this one, this one, this one. Yeah. Make sure that one must be clear. Okay. Okay. Now, after that one, and then in the design experiment, the most important is what we call it this one. How you collect your data and how you're going to collect your data. That is very important in design experiment. You have to about your data. So this is some technique you can use. Survey and questionnaire, you can use interview, observation, experimental. You may also secondary data, you can do document and then focus group. Survey is and survey and questionnaire. This is a simple one. You have your questionnaire, you distribute the questionnaire, whether online questionnaire, physical questionnaire to get the data. Maybe you interview one by one to get the data, and then also you may also the focus group. The focus group, yeah. You have a group and you interview the group. My experience, I use the one survey questionnaire. I use that one in my PhD in master. I use the interview in my what we call it a research group just now. I use also the focus group. I have used the focus group, and then I use also experiment. So I have experience and use 1, 3, 5, 1, 4. The data secondary, record analysis, observation, belum lagi. Saya belum pernah mencobanya ini. Saya itu mau cobanya itu yang secondary data buat meta analysis. Tapi sampai sekarang belum buatnya lagi meta analysis secondary data. So saya itu yang okay, when you write SLR, you know SLR, right? Systematic literature review. What method do you use? You look here, what method you use? Yes, you may use the method number 6, secondary data collection. But me, I even produce any paper on SLR. Jadi saya katanya saya lebih kepada 1, 2, 4, dan 5. Ya. Dan after that, then you test your punya hypothesis. Now you have your data. So how you going to test your hypothesis? Of course, how you going to test your hypothesis? This is related to step number 6. When you analyze your data, okay, analyze data. Before analyze the data, you come here first, you set and do. How you going to test hypothesis? Okay, I share my experience during my PhD. I have cause and effect punya what kind of hypothesis. Okay, because I'm doing my PhD in IS, information system. So, okay, I will set first. Okay, I use statistical to test my hypothesis. In this statistical, I do what statistic I am going to use. Okay, I use regression. Maybe that time kalau masternya saya gunanya regression analysis. Tapi kalau PhD-nya I use SEM. Yeah, SEM. So and then what tools that I use to test this one? I use SEM tool. You know what SEM? Structure equation model. Okay. Waktu master itu saya gunanya regression analysis. Okay, what tool I use? SPSS. Okay, I have that one. Already I have determined how I'm going to test my hypothesis. Then, tada. Then I analyze my result. I run it and then I get the result. So, tidak tengok lagi. Is it my quantitative thesis or qualitative thesis? Of course, just now I am quantitative analysis. The time is a quantitative data analysis. Okay, I use statistical. I use inferential statistical. Inferential statistical, I use that one. So after that, I get the result. Okay, dapatnya berapa accepted, berapa rejected. You stop there? No, you will interpret. Interpret is most important part in your research. What happened is that some of students, they forget the interpret. They forget the interpret. They forget when you interpret, you need to discuss your finding. But some students, they forget to discuss their finding. When I say discuss the finding, it means why your result like that? Why is accepted? Why is rejected? But in discussing this thing, that's I come back your literature review. Remember I said to you, academically guess, academically assumption must best fact, the similar thing is back to your research literature review. That one, you said, this is rejected. You said the one rejected. Oh, why this one rejected? Why is one like this? Oh, and then you think, oh, and you look at the review, it's rejected. Some of maybe factor, oh ini sebabnya. But remember, oh ini sebabnya itu ada fact-nya, didasarkan dengan literature tadi. So, that one. So after you do that, and then you come the recommendation. How to improve your punya research just now. So, ini saya itu yang ini gambar ini dari dulu sampai sekarang. Katanya tengok. Oke. Tengok balik ini. Ini gambarnya perempuan atau gambarnya orang tua? Saya itu tengoknya dari dulu sampai sekarang nggak nampak orang tuanya. Saya nampak perempuan aja. Gambar girls. I only see girl. I try my best to tengok is it all woman. Some of you boleh can you get the which part is all woman? Maybe you may help me later on. You may help me later on this one, yeah. I try the best, but still, yeah. So this why really consider multiple perspective. This I said to you, bila you consider multiple perspective mean that even multiple perspective, remember must be based on the fact. Ada sokongnya, ada supportnya, okay? Ada supportnya. That's why in kind of perspective, ada supportnya. This kind of perspective, ada supportnya. Something that one. So you have all these things, and the last one is your writing. Your writing, or sometimes you tend to do is publish your work, publish a piece. So when you publish your work, there's a two type. You may use conference, or maybe article journal. The conference you usually use conference because you want to what we call it instant feedback. You go what we call it present work, and then all the participants give feedback. Yeah, but journal, maybe after the conference you improve your writing, enhance your writing, and then you submit to the journal. Yeah, submit to the journal. Then you start write to the dissertation. During my time, during my PhD in Hanyang University, is quite harsh for me, quite harsh. Because why? Publication Scopus tak diambil kira ya. Hanyang University Scopus, no. Enggak ditengok Scopus itu. Yang ditengok is WOS. Whether SSCI or satu lagi SSCI, or the one is extended SC something SICE ya, extended. Ada dua aja. Oke. Itu kemudian dikiranya percentage. PhD you must have 200%. It's not 100%, 200%. 200% itu is equivalent maybe 2 is the main author and 1 kalau 2 in main author, and then ada lagi beberapa lagi untuk collaborative author. It's not just your as a main author, dia kira juga as collaborative author. Very harsh, right? Scopus tak dikira. Ya, di sini ia nggak tahu Indonesia, Undip. Saya juga udah lupa untuk graduation itu berapa papernya study summit. Okay, that is my very harsh is during my PhD time. During my PhD, I think I published during the time saya itu gila publish rasanya. I published like maybe 4 or 5 something like that during that time. Sekarang jangan ditanya, okay? So now let me conclude for today. So for today, yeah, okay. For today, what we have for today is that we look also why research methodology. This is the key reason why we have to do the methodology for sure, to ensure the credibility our research, to make sure just now one of the criteria of research is that replicability, and then make sure we have the support validity and reliability, and we're not sure that what we doing is justified enough, yeah. So we hunt the transparency. So people cannot ask you because you ask you doubt because you're very transparent. You have explain what the method you use. So when you do the link the data to your conclusion, because you do it testing whatever is that, and then of course to contribute to the knowledge. That's why at the end of paper, usually at the paper, at the end there's the chapter conclusion, as well as the articles, as well as your dissertation, is that what is your contribution in terms of practicals and theory? Important. So now, where you find research methodology? Where to find research methodology in your writing? If you talk about article journal, okay, you have the after introduction, you the literature review atau in kadang related work after related work methodology. This methodology, whether you name it, they name it is like sometimes methodology, sometimes methods, sometimes material and methods. Okay, then you explain that one. In your dissertation, usually in the chapter 3, overall, what could be in your methodology section? What could be in your chapter 3? Yeah, methodology, if the paper general methodology, method, and material, or in the chapter 3, what could be there? Okay, usually you have some university, they have provide you very clear guideline, very clear flow, but generally what must in your that methodology part, you must have your research design. Okay, your research design. You must have your population and sampling. And then you must have your data collection method. What is the movement tool that you use? What analysis you do? How the validity and reliability and the ethicals. This is up to you. But make a summary. This is make a summary. Sometimes should be okay ready. You have research design, research project, alur penelitian, you have model or the framework. What could the instrument, the similar things, simple data collection and then data analysis. If I writing my paper, writing my articles, whether for conference and whether for the journal, I make sure I have this one. Okay. So I think that is for today. Maybe actually I want this is some kind of question, but it's not a question. We can continue together. In research design, what you write in your research design? Tadi kalau research framework, flowchart framework semua itu is clear, right? What you going to write in your research design part? That is the thing is, yeah. Proportion technique itu simple, but my question, what you going to write in your research design part? Okay. So that is for today. Thank you. I think we open to Q&A. Okay, that's it. And thank you. So,
Terima kasih kami ucapkan kepada narasumber kita, Ibu Dr. Suhaini, atas pemaparan materi yang sangat menarik dan jelas dan bermanfaat banget tadi. Jadi kita ada beberapa yang saya bisa simpulkan Bu, mungkin bagi saya juga awam antara metodologi dan metode tadi yang sudah dijelaskan, ternyata jelas perbedaannya. Antara metodologi yaitu seperti studi tentang berbagai metode seperti teori, konsep, dan prinsip. Pokoknya dibalik gimana caranya kita melakukan penelitian tersebut. Seperti pokoknya kalau metodologi seperti uh, aturan atau pemahaman tentang cara melakukan penelitiannya, dan sementara yang metode merupakan langkah-langkah atau sistematis yang dilakukan untuk menyelesaikan suatu permasalahan atau suatu penelitian tersebut. Dan tadi juga Ibu sudah membahas tentang bagaimana sih kita menentukan ide penelitian, mencari topik penelitian dengan cara yang pertama ada eksplorasi, describe, analisis, habis itu setelah itu dilakukan problem solving, dan yang terakhir yaitu evaluasi. Dan untuk melakukan penelitian tadi ada beberapa step atau tahapan, ada 7 tahapan. Yang pertama kita formulasiin research question atau permasalahan yang ada dulu. Setelah itu menentukan background atau observation, di mana kita fokus memahami kondisi atau fenomena saat ini supaya kita tahu posisi dari kontribusi dari penelitian kita dalam dunia ini itu apa. Dan yang ketiga yaitu formulasi hipotesis, yaitu melakukan atau membuat hipotesis mengenai penelitian yang kita lakukan. Yang keempat ada design experiments. Yang kelima ada tes hipotesis, menguji hipotesis yang sudah kita buat sebelumnya. Dan yang keenam ada analisis result dan interpretasi. Dan yang tujuh ada publish and result. Mungkin kita masuk ke sesi selanjutnya, yaitu sesi tanya jawab. Mungkin teman-teman di sini bisa raise hand atau chat di kolom Zoom. Sebelumnya izinkan saya menyampaikan sebuah pantun. Mungkin bisa dibantu bilang cakep. Dari Semarang menuju Malaysia, membawa ilmu dan persahabatan. Materi ini sungguh luar biasa. Mari kita diskusikan dengan berbagi pertanyaan. Silakan teman-teman peserta bisa mengajukan pertanyaannya. Bisa langsung raise hand dan on mic, atau bisa tulis di kolom chat Zoom. Mungkin dari saya dulu Bu pertanyaannya. Izin bertanya Bu, untuk tadi di step penelitian itu yang step terakhir yaitu ada publish and result, dimana itu kan kita untuk menulis paper dan publish. Dan menurut saya masih baru mungkin di perkuliahan magister ini masih sulit menentukan kemana sih tempat kita publish, dan menentukan tempat publish yang mana yang cocok juga dengan penelitian kita untuk mengurangi resiko ditolak atau di reject dari awal gitu Bu. Karena kan di magister ini sangat sempit, sangat sedikit waktunya untuk publikasi, sementara publikasi itu menjadi syarat kita untuk melakukan seminar hasil dan seminar tesis Bu.
Okay, thank you Zora. Let me share my experience to you. Okay. Actually, rejection is the best teacher. Rejection is the best guru. But the first, kalau antarnya paper pertama itu accepted, right? Already accepted. Then di situ baru kita tuh tahu, oh ini adalah art of writing. Ini adalah art penulisannya. So, satu ada cara yang cepat sebenarnya. Ada cara yang cepat. Uh, uh, as I said to me, cara saya adalah very very harsh because why? In Hanyang University, as I said to you, maunya itu WOS. Scopus nggak mau, maunya WOS, SSCI. Udah SSCI, kita itu nggak ada duit untuk bayar. Jadi the SSCI usually is a free but will take long time. Long time. Mula-mulanya itu saya mula-mula itu like you very nice. Antarnya saja paper, berapa kali antar kadang-kala nggak sampai 2 minggu sudah ada surat reject. You turn baik ya. Try antar lagi. Tiba-tiba dapat lagi reject. I think the editor even read my paper. Already reject. Oh, tidak sesuai dengan ini, tidak sesuai dengan ini. Gitu cara gitu. Tapi sekarang ini banyak optionnya. Mau cepat bayar aja. Oke, mau cepat bayar aja. And you be careful. In submitting your paper, look back at your university policy. Kan university itu ada polisinya, ada mana ada tempat nggak boleh disubmit, jangan disubmit. Oke, okay? So you have to rajin browse, kena browse rajin, you have to kena rajin browse all the journal website punya journal platform. Tengok ini berapa lama publishnya, setahun berapa kali publicationnya, ada 2-3. Kalau ini antar waiting for approval to waiting for accepted rejected itu berapa lama. Tengok yang di situ, study on that one. Oke. Bila udah sampai, oh ininya cocok. Contoh jurnalnya juga dibaca, cocok. Oke, tengok. Cocoknya itu tengok. Kalau saya itu, uh, topiknya saya computer science. Jadi jurnalnya itu mesti computer science. Ibu tengok gitu. Oke, bila udah cocok, and then baru antar. Baru diantar. But in publishing, one our dilemma is that once you publish to this paper, you cannot submit to the other paper. Ethical issue. Some paper is retracted because of that. Profesor juga kadang-kadang banyak itu. Jadi bila dapat di sini sama, sampai sana retracted. Jangan. My advice, jangan sekali-sekali. Even lama, remember pegang the ethical issue of writing. Antarnya di sini, okay, that's it. Tunggu dulu resultnya. Kalau kata rejected, and then baru cari paper lain. When your paper is rejected, don't submit it directly to the other journal. No. First is that you look back your paper, tengok apa kurangnya, and slightly twist the title. Slightly twist the title, baru antar tempat lain. Itu caranya. Oke? Okay? So, saya itu dengan itu saya tidak ada yang jelas. Cuma saya kata rejection itu actually the good teacher. For me, rejection is the good teacher. So, saya ada satu pengalaman. Antarnya itu di Q2 or Q1 SSCI WOS. After 3 months, 3 to 6 months, that is dia kata, this is you need to revise, major revision revise. I revise it what the examiner said to me, reviewer said to me, and I send back after 6 months. Lepas tu after 6 months, katanya rejected, sudah di review rejected balik, rejected dengan 1 pages of review comment, 1 or 2 pages review comment. Terduduk, oi. This is stupid. Almost 1 year for that paper. So what I did, I read all the comment, katanya yang sesuai itu saya buat. Mana komennya itu memang betul, saya baiki paper saya, and then I submit it to the another Q1 or Q2 SSCI. That one after 6 months I tak dengar apa-apa cerita. Then after 6 months I text the editor what happened to my paper. Tiada cerita, but minggu ketujuh, that's it. Accepted without correction. That is my when I said accepted without correction, then I said, now I know the art of writing. Tak pandai udar. Kalau ini macam mana tulisnya, literature punya macam udah pandai. Lepas itu, bila antar je, nggak pernah sudah kena reject. You learn from that one. So, that's my advice to you. Jangan takut, antar aja. Reject itu perkara biasa. Antar aja. Itu, jangan takut, antar aja. Okay? Okay, that's it.
Terima kasih banyak Ibu atas penjelasannya. Jadi Bismillah, kita coba publish jurnal dengan yang baik dan tepat waktu. Silakan, apakah ada pertanyaan dari teman-teman? Silakan mengaktifkan fitur raise hand atau bisa chat di kolom Zoom. Silakan Mas Nur Wahid Hidayatullah. Silakan, jangan lupa memperkenalkan nama dan pertanyaannya.
Oke, terima kasih banyak atas kesempatan yang diberikan ya. Selamat pagi. Saya Nur Wahid Hidayatullah dari MSI. Jadi di sini izin bertanya Ibu Suhaini. Jadi misalnya kita sudah menentukan research method seperti itu Bu, di planning kita, di proposal kita. Kita sudah menentukan metode-metodenya nanti akan seperti apa dari awal sampai akhir. Namun nanti ketika penelitian, di tengah-tengah penelitian, research method yang sudah kita tetapkan di awal itu, yang sudah kita planning, ternyata tidak berjalan secara semestinya seperti itu Bu. Itu bagaimana ya Bu untuk proses evaluasinya? Apakah kita harus membuat research method dari awal ataukah kita langsung ubah di tengah-tengahnya saja Bu? Seperti itu. Terima kasih.
Terima kasih Mr. Nur Wahid. Ini kiranya itu di plan sekali membuatnya enggak tidak bisa ya. Macam you plan and suddenly you then remind, oh, something wrong with your plan, something like that. Gitu ya.
Iya, betul Bu, begitu.
Oh, what to do? You have to, nggak boleh buat apa-apa. Mula aja, kita tengok di mana salahnya. Oke. Sometimes the problem is di mana, tengok di mana metode itu, tengok di mana metode itu di mana salahnya. Selalunya kalau salahnya itu mungkin salahnya kepada riset design. Apa ya? Riset design itu salahnya itu di eksperimental tadi. Ada kan yang ya oke. Hypothesisnya itu betul, udah. Sekali salahnya itu pada riset kepada eksperimentalnya itu. Katakan sepatutnya gunanya eksperimental tapi tersalah guna, kan? So you baik in the part that one. Part itu dan teruskan. Yang part betul itu nggak payah dikacau. Yang part tidak betul itu yang diperbetulkan. Oke, itu yang diperbetulkan. This is very disaster kalau collecting data yang salah. Very disaster. You have to go back. Repeat that back. Baiki itu back, baru tengok. Kita itu baiki ini mana yang salah. Kalau data you okay, salahnya itu pada research saja, research desainnya saja itu salah, baiki pada research desainnya. Baiki pada itu. Kena ulang yang pada yang salah, baiki yang salah. Enggak apa-apa. Cuma that's why when you plan is salah, konsekuen dia masa. konsekuen dia masa. Repeat back. Some of my friend, ada kawan saya itu, kesian juga. Habisnya satu semester begitu aja. Sebab dia salahnya dalam menentukan, salahnya itu dalam, ia sudah, itu udah, salahnya itu dalam data collection. Salahnya apa ya? And have to collect the whole data just now. So, ya, itu aja. Salah you perbaiki, but the consequence is masa.
Baik Ibu Suaini, terima kasih banyak atas jawabannya. Berarti kalau ada yang salah, kita cari tahu dulu seperti itu ya Bu, salahnya di mana. Kemudian kita perbaiki saja bagian yang salahnya, tidak perlu diperbaiki dari awal. Seperti itu. Terima kasih banyak Ibu Suaini atas jawabannya, sangat menjawab sekali.
Ya, betul, betul, baik. Yang salah, tidak baik. Tapi kalau yang awal-awal udah salah, tapi baik kalau awal udah salah, and then you perasan salah, nggak apa-apa. Tapi masalahnya itu awal-awal udah salah, bila ke ujung udah sudah ke step ke-7 baru tahu ke 6 tahu step satunya salah, itu yang masalah.
Hmm. Baik Bu, terima kasih banyak atas jawabannya Bu.
Terima kasih Bu. Di sini ada satu pertanyaan lagi Bu dari Mas Herlian, ada di kolom chat. Izin saya membacakannya. Eh, Perkenalkan, saya Harlian. Izin bertanya Bu, AI sekarang sudah marak di kehidupan kita, terutama dalam penulisan akademik. Bagaimana kita mengatasinya? Kadang reviewer menggunakan AI detector dan tulisan kita terdeteksi AI. Padahal AI kadang digunakan penulis untuk hanya membantu translate artikel saja. Mohon dijawab Ibu pertanyaan dari Mas Herlian.
Yes, I understand that. I understand that. I have I understand one problem. Kadang-kadang itu kita berpikir, saya yang AI sebenarnya. Sebab AI itu. That's why my advice to you, never ever, if you guna AI untuk pembantu penulis, bukan idealnya, hanya bentukan sentence-nya. Never ever copy your writing, put it in an AI, and ask the AI to baiki restructure. No, don't do that. Very dangerous. Jangan guna itu. Kita guna itu kalau ada mungkin satu sentence yang salah, kita guna repressionnya itu guna AI satu sentence itu kita tengok and then you twist it back. If you do that kind, of course dia punya apa katanya AI-nya detektornya itu 98% AI. That's what happened to my student. Detektor 98%. Katanya tidak, AI itu segunanya untuk restructure ayat saya. Tidak. So what we did, we have to sit back again, baca balik, restructure manually balik. Oh, satu paper. So my advice to you, don't do that. Jangan. Kalau mau gunanya itu apa ayat, kita itu membaca, tiba-tiba kita stuck. Satu ayat kita satu stuck. Stuck. Bila kita stuck itu baru kita ke AI-nya. Ayatnya begini, oh ini. Lepas itu baru kita tulis balik guna ayat kita sendiri. Never do I think in writing that one. Dan satu lagi, ya semua reviewer itu walaupun kadang-kadang AI-nya itu katanya tinggi, tapi ianya boleh baca, dia boleh baca bacanya. Sebab ayat-ayat research itu hampir sama semuanya, hampir sama. Jadi bila dibacanya ayatnya itu ada satu ayat lain macam, oh kita tahu itu AI. Reviewer itu tahu sebenarnya. Kalau macam saya sendiri juga, saya boleh baca, oh ini AI, tahu. Tapi oh tidak, ini tidak AI. Because we know ayat research itu macam mana. I say to you, jangan gunanya gitu. We cannot run from that one. The problem is kadang-kadang I think I also bias, but we cannot run from that. So we have to avoid that. So that is how you're going to avoid it. Don't copy paste your paragraph, whatever is it using. Put it in AI, ask AI to restructure. No, don't do that. Yeah. Hmm.
Terima kasih kasih Bu atas pertanyaannya. Ini ada pertanyaan lagi dari di kolom chat Zoom dari Novi. Izin saya membacakan. Hello Dr. Suaini, my name is Novi Dwi Fitriani. May I ask a question? When determining a research topic, choosing the relevant issue is one of the key factors to consider. My question is, in your opinion, when writing the research paper, it is better to use topic that is currently trending and widely discussed, or a more general or ordinary topic? Please explain your reasoning.
For this, my answer is simple. You focus and title topic must be simple. Focus in simple. Focus in simple. Why? I know. Because when you focus in simple, people read your topic, people know what you're doing. Don't follow the trend, you pergi sana AI suggest you, wow, the bombastic topic. And then when people read it, apa ini ya? No. Soalnya saya itu begitu aja. Focus, what you want try to write, using your words, simple word, and simple word. Focus and simple word. That's it. No need to look at trending on this one. Modeler, whatever is that. And then I said, what do you mean my modeler? That is my student. Tajuknya itu punya gempa. Smart web AI in modeler or something. Why you use smart? Is it you doing smart? No. Jadi what is modeler? Dia pun tak boleh jawab. No. Try to avoid that very bombastic word, excellent word, something like that. Make it simple but clear in writing your topic. Okay. More general? No, make it focus. Because if you talk about general, people tend to guess what you're doing. Okay. What you do, what are you going to do? So make it focus. Yeah, don't make too general. Too general, people try to baca apa sebenarnya dia membuat ini. Okay. But if you general, if you're very focused, you want to do this one, and people to read it.
Baik, terima kasih Bu atas penjelasannya. Teman-teman ada yang ingin bertanya lagi? Silakan mengaktifkan fitur raise hand-nya.
Okay, Miss Zora, can we stop because I have class actually at 9:40. Can we stop because I have class at 9:40?
Oke, thank you Ibu. Baik, terima kasih atas jawaban dan penjelasan yang sudah disampaikan oleh Ibu Dr. Suaini. Baik, jika tidak ada pertanyaan lagi, dan sepertinya seluruh pertanyaan juga sudah dijawab tadi oleh Ibu. Semoga ilmu dan yang kita peroleh hari ini dapat bermanfaat menjadi bekal dalam proses penelitian kita maupun studi kita ke depannya. Kami mengucapkan terima kasih kepada seluruh peserta atas partisipasi dan antusiasmenya selama sesi berlangsung. Terima kasih juga kami ucapkan kepada Ibu Dr. Suaini binti Sura atas pemaparan materi dan diskusi yang sangat insightful dan bermanfaat bagi kita semua. Sebelum acaranya benar-benar ditutup, saya ingin mengingatkan lagi bahwa kegiatan Undip Global Classroom ini akan kembali dilanjutkan pada pertemuan selanjutnya, yaitu pada tanggal 15 Mei 2026. Kami dari seluruh saya mewakili teman-teman panitia dan Universitas Diponegoro. Terima kasih atas penyampaian materi dan kehadiran teman-teman semuanya. Sebelum saya menutup acara Undip Global Classroom pada hari ini, izinkan saya menyampaikan sedikit pantun dari Undip hingga Malaysia. Cakep. Terjalin ilmu dan kolaborasi. Cakep. Terima kasih atas diskusi yang luar biasa. Semoga memberi manfaat dan inspirasi. Saya Zora Zarina selaku moderator meminta maaf apabila ada salah kata dan perbuatan. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Sampai jumpa di Undip Global Classroom sesi selanjutnya.
Bye all. See you on Friday. I leave ya.
See you, Ibu.
Yuk, Dr. Saini.